Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. Man, I have so much I want to share with you guys. I feel like this year has been like so much of a transformation, but also getting back to basics and just completely like looking at things differently. But I feel like the past few weeks, it has been like tenfold, like so many things coming through, so many things making sense. It's like I'm connecting all the dots from this year and seeing why things happen the way they do, why certain things didn't happen yet. It's just been wild. And so I have like multiple episodes where I'm going to kind of break this down and tell you about something really exciting that I'm doing that is basically going to be like a complete transformation. It's like if you look at the Law of Attraction tribe up until this point, it's almost like it's been prep work for this next thing that I'm going to be doing that is just going to completely change your life. Like completely. I mean, this is a quantum shift that will be taking place just based on all of these things that have been happening. And I'm going to explain in the next episode kind of like why now is the time. But if you remember, not that long ago, I don't remember exactly when, but I did an episode where I was talking about like how it was just weird. I didn't want to go out to restaurants anymore. I didn't really have any desire to like book any vacations, to really go and do like a lot of the things that I used to want to do. Like I used to always have, certain goals that were around money or taking a certain vacation or like having a certain designer bag, something like that. And I feel like that has completely gone out the window where I no longer want those things. Like I could care less about a certain designer bag or shoes or a certain dollar amount in the bank. That was another thing that was always very big with me because I could measure it, like having this specific goal. And I just could care less. Like, honestly, I could just care less. And at the time, like when I did that last episode where I talked about this, it was kind of alarming because it's like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel that way? Am I just not motivated anymore? Am I lazy? Am I checked out? Like, what the hell is going on? Because, my whole life I've had these very tangible goals, and those things just aren't resonating with me anymore. And so of course, it's like, you start thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Like what is happening? I went from being this like super big goal setter to not really having so much tangible goals and like certain expectations and time frames and things set up. And at the time, like I had this theory, I'm like, did we shift timelines or something? Because it seems like it's ever since COVID. And I've heard a lot of other people talking about this. And I still do. I still do think something happened during that time frame, but I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with COVID. I think we are just undergoing this like mass spiritual awakening. And for me, I think that started during COVID. And I think there's like different groups of people that go through this at a different time. But for me, I think the reason why this happened around COVID was because right before then, it was like the end of 2019 that I left the corporate world. I left the 9 to 5. I had my daughter, Amelia, and that was kind of a big transitional moment in my life where I was leaving this sort of old, outdated structure and stepping into this new purpose, finding purpose and meaning in my life, doing what lights me up instead of what I think I have to do to collect a paycheck. And so it's during that time that I started the podcast. It was like opening a new chapter in my life. And I have been exponentially evolving ever since to the point where I literally don't even recognize the Stephanie from before 2020. Like, I don't even recognize that version of me because just about everything has shifted internally in the way I look at things and my perspective and my beliefs and my thoughts, everything. It's just a completely, different version of me, but in a good way. It's like I have shed so many layers that I was hiding behind for so long that I thought I needed in order to be liked, to fit in, to feel happy, to be fulfilled, but it was all surface level stuff. And now I've reached this point where it's not that I'm unmotivated or that I'm lazy. It's this like feeling of pure contentment. And I hate that word. I need to find a better word to describe it. But basically, like, I don't need to be distracted by shiny objects or material things. I am just perfectly content to just be like in the present moment, be me. And I never had that before. And so I think making that shift, it's like I wasn't fully understanding what was happening. I just knew like this is very different from the way that I used to feel. And I've always viewed contentment as like a negative thing. And it can be a negative thing. It's like if you're looking at content in terms of I'm just going to settle for mediocrity because it's just easier than putting in the work. That's not a good thing to strive for. But if you're content in the terms of like, I am already happy. So no matter what happens externally, I'm already at peace internally and I'm already happy internally. And nothing that happens externally is going to make me happy or make me unhappy. It is fully in my control and it's something that is unchanging within me. And so reaching that point is why I don't feel the need to strive for certain things. Because before I would look at those things like, okay, I need to get the next Louis Vuitton bag and that will make me happy. That will make me feel fulfilled. That is something that I'm working towards. Or when I lived in Illinois, it was like I had to go on vacation between January and March, or I felt like I was going to lose my mind. And so it was kind of seeking things out to hide the uncomfortable feelings that were within me that, made me not content, not fulfilled. I wasn't like living in my purpose and grasping at these other things as sort of a distraction to put a band-aid on the things in my life that maybe weren't making me feel happy and fulfilled and content. And I feel like when you start going through this like spiritual awakening type of thing, and I'm, for lack of a better word, like I'm just using that phrase because it is just more this like internal shift that's happening and your intuitive gifts start to come online, or maybe they were already online, but now they're heightened and you start noticing things more. So if you think back to my Halloween episode where I was talking about these like experiences that I keep having, I think it's because I am more tuned in than I've ever been in my life. And I'm more aware than I've ever been in my life. And so all of those things are just my intuition is enhanced because I've been paying attention and doing all of these things internally to align with that. And so when you get into that point of contentment where you don't need anything to be happy and fulfilled, that's when you flip from needing mode to receiving mode. Okay. So we're kind of conditioned to be in the mode of needing. Like you need the approval of your parents, your teachers, your friends. You need the nice house, the car, the job title. You need to just get that next promotion or that next big payout. And then you'll be successful. Then you'll be happy. Then you'll be fulfilled. That's sort of how we're conditioned. It's like you put in all this work and life is hard and work is hard, but someday it'll pay off and you'll be happy and fulfilled and then it'll all make sense. Like that's sort of the way our society, our education system, everything's set up, and it gives us this expectation that you have to go through all these hoops and sort of be miserable with the hope that you're going to have this road to happiness someday. Not now, not today, but someday if you just put in the work, right? It's very much what we're taught, whether consciously or subconsciously, it's there. And I see it in almost everyone, including myself for really up until this year. And so when you start to look at like the narrative that you were running on, the operating system that you were running on, it's like you needed this feeling of being successful, being adequate for external people, right? Like you want to have a certain image or do a certain thing so that your parents can be proud, so that your neighbors can see that you're successful or whatever. It was very like external focused. But what's crazy is that word successful and that vision of like what it means to be successful almost never aligns with your true vision for success. I know that was the case with me, anyhow, where it was someone else's idea of success that I was just conditioned from a very young age to take on as my own, because that's what we were taught, especially starting in middle school, going through high school. If you just do this, if you just go to college and get a good job, you will be happy, you will be fulfilled, like this promise that I took on as my own. And so I looked to those external things as markers for my success, even though it wasn't really my success. Nothing about that was my definition of success. I was just so conditioned and brainwashed to think that's what it means to be successful. Therefore, that's what I need to strive for. And when you're living in that type of a mode, which I was for a very long time, it's like I needed to numb myself, right? Because you're in this constant state of fight or flight. You're in this constant stressful environment. And stress becomes the new baseline. And so you check out. You check out by scrolling TikTok, binging Netflix, drinking at the end of the day, or doing drugs or whatever, all to try to get to that real feeling that you want. And what I think that feeling is being whole and balanced and this perfectly content and fulfilled feeling from within, where you no longer require these external things to fill this void. And I think the void is the gap between our purpose, what's truly going to make us feel fulfilled, and society's version of success. There is this massive gap, and we fall into this void. And so then we just keep looking for external things to try to get us to that feeling of what it would feel like to be fulfilled, to live in our purpose. And so, you go back to like what I was saying earlier about not wanting to go out to restaurants or getting that excited about like food and things that used to be really important to me that I used to really look forward to. And I think the other big shift is that I'm just looking at everything completely different now. So I'll look at it as like, is this going to raise my vibration or lower it? Is this going to energize me or is this going to drain me? And it's almost like I'm repulsed by it because I know that it's like poison to my spiritual well-being, not to mention my, physical and mental well-being, but it's like I know it's going to shift me out of this state to where I don't feel content. I don't feel good and fulfilled. And so I'm sort of like almost repulsed by some of the things I used to really look forward to. And when that happens, it throws you for a loop. But now that I'm kind of understanding, what's happening and I have more awareness of it, I can look at it as like, okay, this is actually a really good thing. And so I don't want anything that's going to disconnect me from this connection that I have. I feel like I'm super tapped in, super tuned in. It's like I have this antenna coming from my head out to source. And I don't want to engage in the things that are going to disconnect me from that. And I've noticed this especially with alcohol because I used to be big on like every night I wanted a glass of wine and social gatherings. I'm more of an introvert. And so it's like I always used alcohol as that social lubricant. And it's not like I'm not drinking anything. I'm just done with alcohol because that's not the case, but I don't need it. And there have been multiple times now where I'll be like, sure, I'll have a glass of wine and I'll sip on it and maybe drink half the glass because after that first sip, I'm like, I don't really want this. Like, it's not really satisfying me. It's not really, and I know in the morning it's going to make me feel very groggy, very disconnected. And so I just feel like all of these things have sort of fallen away and are no longer important. And I have been hearing this from a lot of people. I was on TikTok the other day and this guy was talking about fast food. And he's like, is anyone else just completely repulsed by fast food? And he was saying, I used to, not that I loved it, but I enjoyed a McDonald's burger and fries every once in a while, or enjoyed, grabbing whatever from a drive-through, and I just can't do it anymore. And I was like, yes, this is what I have been talking about. And so many people in the comments were saying the same thing. And of course, there's all these different theories for why it's happening, but I do think that there is this shift happening collectively that is moving us into this just new way of being more aware of our collective consciousness, growing spiritually, and just tuning more internally, amplifying our intuition and seeking more purpose and fulfillment. So I'm going to do a deep dive on this in the next episode where I'm going to talk about what's happening astrologically and what I think is this massive shift and is a really exciting time because it's going to open the door for so many incredible things. And at the core of it is that fulfillment, that sense of purpose that I think we're all searching for. And we don't even know it. We're searching for this thing and we can't find it. And so we've been numbing ourselves with all of these other external things. And I think that that is where there's going to be this massive shift, and people are going to become more and more aware and stepping into their purpose and feeling fulfilled. So, anyhow, this is just the beginning. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about over the next few weeks. And I'm going to launch this new, I don't even know what to call it. It's not a course, it's not a program, it's not even a mastermind. It's just something completely different from anything that I've ever done, anything that I see anyone else doing, that is basically going to be this space for complete transformation. And so I'm going to kind of be giving the breadcrumbs, letting you, integrate it, soak it in, get used to it. I don't want to like go off the deep end all at once, but I think you're going to love it. I think it's going to be something that is going to shift all of us in a big way moving into next year. So I'm going to talk about that and actually launch it on Black Friday. And so if you want to get on the wait list where you're going to get the details, you're going to get the pre-sale discount, which is a massive discount. It's a no-brainer. Then text me the word join to 813-755-1785. And when you join the wait list, I'm going to send you the groundwork that I want you to start doing between now and when the program starts in January. And so this has to do with the root chakra and really feeling grounded, having that baseline of feeling secure, feeling grounded, feeling very connected to the earth. And it's really, really, really important as like a solid foundation for what we're going to build on. And so there is a short, it's like a 7 minute grounding meditation. You can do it once, you could do it every day, you could do it whenever you feel the need, whenever you're feeling like, man, I really need to be grounded. I'm feeling like loopy and anxiety and everything else. You can come back to this. It's short, it's 7 minutes. And then also a root activation subliminal. This is also short. It's 5 minutes. You could literally do it in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. And that is on purpose because everything that's coming with this is all about simplifying it and not overthinking it, not overdoing it, not throwing a bunch of spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. Very intentional, easy to implement things that are going to cause this quantum shift. And it all starts with activating the root chakra and feeling very grounded. And so again, I will send you those for free when you join the wait list. And all you have to do is text the word join to 813-755-1785. And I'll text you the subliminal, the meditation. You can get started with it today and then just be on the lookout because I'm going to share more and more information about what's coming. And I know you're absolutely going to be blown away and love it. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you back here next time.